Hello, welcome to the channel, welcome to this week's update. Right, first things, before I start about anything modelling related, I just want to say, just mention about the girls' marathon. They completed it on Saturday, both of them. Yeah, both really excited, as you can imagine. Well, I was going to say a real spring in their step, maybe not afterwards. They were suffering a little bit. Really hot, which really affected their projected times. But they're in no way disappointed about that. But they completed it, and it was quite good fun actually tracking them on the app, seeing where they were. They had their phones with them, so they were sending pictures and things like that as they were going around, and they thoroughly enjoyed it, and obviously hit their target and raised almost £4,000 for the charity WizKids. And they first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody out there who donated, and they've also asked me to pass on their thanks for all the donations that come in. Honestly, without you guys, they wouldn't have hit their target. So a huge thank you to everybody out there who donated. Right, so that's the marathon, and they both want to do it next year. Crazy. But right, so what's been going on the channel then is Arma April has concluded. I've just about finished editing the viewers compilation video. Thank you very much to everybody who submitted their models. I was actually overwhelmed by the number, and it's taken me quite a while to edit that down. I've nearly finished. As soon as I finish recording this, I'm just going to tidy that up, and then I'll be putting that out. So by the time you see this, it'll be up on the channel. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and have a look at everybody else's work. Some beautiful models in that. Just a couple of minor little stats for Arma April. Managed to do, I completed 4 models for that. So that was the 48 scale Hurricane 2B, the Soviet conversion one, the P39, the Mustang, and the Key 43, all in 72nd scale. Not all of them were full projects. Some of them were full project videos, like my normal style. Some of them were the sort of debrief style. Some great feedback over that. Plus, obviously, some reviews, chat videos, the visit to Duxford. Included that as part of Arma April as well, because I'm going to be building, they've actually, the Polish Heritage Flight have given me an Arma Hurricane 2B to build for them. That's going to take a little bit of converting, actually. So looking forward to doing that, but later on in the year. And yeah, it was, I really enjoyed it, actually. To just devote a whole month to a single manufacturer, I think was great. I've had some great feedback from you guys. So thank you very much for getting involved. Absolutely brilliant. I'm toying with another one. I'm toying with doing something like maybe Airfix Autumn, something like that, just to make it a little bit more looser and not necessarily tying myself down to deadlines and things like that. I just want a little bit more flexibility. I'm just toying with the idea. I do want to make some more Airfix kits this year. I haven't made an Airfix kit so far this year. I've definitely got the Lancaster to do. I really want to do that. And there's a few other projects that I really want to do. Not least the 2-seater Spitfire from this year's releases. The Jaguar. Quite a few people have asked me if I'm doing the Jaguar. And I really want to do the Jaguar, but it's just fitting it in. I've got so many other projects. I've got a feeling that if I get one, it's just going to sit in the stash. And that's not what I want to do. So what I'm going to be doing this year is I'm going to do one of last year's builds as well. I'm leaning towards the Chinook, and yeah, I'm just mindful of if I get something, a model like that, and it's just going to sit in the stash for a few years until I get around to doing it. So what I'm going to do is not do that, and when I want to do a Jaguar, I shall go and buy one, and I shall build it, and rather than just sitting in the stash. My cupboards for my stash, they're full. So yeah, so that's that. The current project has come to an end. I finished it. It's this. So if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see the Norseman is finished. I need to do my Instagram reel for it. I've got to be careful where I hold it. There's lots of tiny bits of photo etch sticky out. Yeah, I love the look of the thing. Now it's finished, painted and weathered. Arguably, it's a little bit too matte. I've finished it with VMS satin, and it was probably a little bit more shiny in real life. I don't know. I'm guessing. Maybe it's not. Maybe the VMS satin is the perfect sheen for it. Who knows? But yeah, lovely looking thing. Very bright, as you can see, in the yellow, and should make a real splash. Sat in my cabinet. The model itself, then, this is my first ever Dora Wings kit. Safe to say it's not Tamiya. It was a bit of a challenge to go together in certain areas. The main one being the wing to fuselage joint. It just didn't fit. No way. So I had to do a bit of surgery there, cutting down the cockpit roof. I had to cut that right down, and then add a brass rod spreader to spread just behind the top of the windscreen apart to match the contours, and then it slotted in, and there was a few gaps around the back end, things like that. So that was the main challenge, really, was getting the wings on. I've got a feeling, so mine have got a slight sort of droop to the wings, and I don't know if that is because the aeroplane had a slight droop to the wings, or whether my parts are warped. They might be warped because when I went to put the struts on, they didn't line up with the holes. And then if I line them up and put the pins in the bottom of the struts into the holes in the wing, if I just go head on, the holes were a little bit inboard. If the struts were made of something like brass or something like that, then that would have forced the wings up and would have cured that. As it was, because the struts are kind of scale thickness, and this thing is beautifully moulded, I have to say. The detail is amazing. But all that did is just bend the struts. I had a go at unwarping the wings, but failed. So I ended up filling the holes, cutting the pins off, and then just letting them sort of float and glued where they touched. And actually, it's very, very neat, but just from head on, the kind of outer sort of 30% of the wings just kind of curve down ever so slightly. So yeah, stick in the comments below if you know anything about the Norseman, and whether the wings should be absolutely flat. I suspect they should be, but I don't know. One possible cure would be to get maybe a stiff metal spar, maybe something very thin but very flat that doesn't flex very much, to actually hold the wings up to cure that droop warp. If required, let me know. Anyway, sorted that out. Managed to drop the flaps, which was nice. And everything else fitted reasonably well. Now, the engine mount, you get this very, very fiddly, in-scale engine mount, which I managed to get together, but it kind of sticks out. It glues onto the bulkhead, and then it sticks out a little bit, so before you put the engine on and then the cowling. And unfortunately, I managed to sort of knock it off, and it was just a bit of a pain. So I ended up sort of just drilling through the engine into the bulkhead, putting a brass rod and mounting it on that, which worked very, very well. The windows went in very nicely. On one side, I actually put black super glue all the way around, sanded it all flush, polished it all back. And on the other side, they fit a little bit better, actually. And I just masked them off, but they were a little bit proud, so I could have sanded it down, but decided not to, and actually it didn't really matter. When you look at it, both solutions work very well. Right, there's lots of photo etch on here. The little sort of steps, so you ground crew, I guess, can climb up onto the top of the wing. I managed to lose one of those. There's no spares. They are absolutely tiny. You get the grab holds on the rear fuselage. You get the aileron and flap actuators are all photo etch. I managed to lose one of those. So I've got to be very careful how I hold this thing. Now, I'll tell you what I haven't done is I haven't removed the masking for the roof panel, and I've taken all the photos. Oh, always do something like that. I'll tell you what I can do. Let's do a live unmasking. Okay, these tweezers will do. I haven't got my glasses on, but I don't need them. So very carefully pick that off. There we go. Ta-da! Right, yeah, that mirror. So what I recommend is, before you glue the wings to the fuselage, put that top window in, seal it with a bit of black super glue, just to stop reflections, things like that. Sand it all down so it's flush, polish it back, whack the mask on, and that way, yeah, you're not kind of sanding when everything's enclosed. Because I was absolutely paranoid that I was going to get some sort of crap on the inside of the windows, and this is all sealed. Luckily, first time ever, no. So I'm really pleased with that. Right, decals. I've used the kit decals on this. They don't go over any panel lines. What I did do, though, is spray the fin marking, because I was just a bit worried about the red wrapping around that leading edge and making that look neat. The other thing, which is what I've done, is... Oh, I've got a load of yellow stain. Why have I got yellow staining on that roundel? He's talking about the upper wing roundels. Is I managed to put the upper wing roundels in the wrong place. I put them too far back, so I put them equidistant between the panel line and the aileron, and they should actually touch the panel line at the front. And then I couldn't lift them off because they were bedded right down. So ended up removing them with tape, just sanding it down, touching up the paint, and then I sprayed on the upper wing roundels. Yeah, but the decals from Decograph, which are a Ukrainian company, a lot of the Ukrainian manufacturers use Decograph. They're beautiful. They really are. They're up there with Cartograph. Beautifully thin. Sprayed the satin varnish over the top. They just disappeared. The Caro film just disappeared. Just absolutely beautiful. There we are. And just a little bit of weathering. Just a little bit of a wash in and around some of the panel lines and details. A little bit of heavier wash around the engine. Nothing too much. Filter over the top just to blend everything in. And then all the dangly bits got glued on. Bit of satin varnish over the top to get rid of any sort of shiny glue streaks. And there we are. Job done. Really, really like how this thing looks. It's lovely. I'm just wondering if they are going to step up to 48, because I wish they would, because it's beautiful. But bodes well for the Beaver. I know lots of people were interested in the Beaver, the 48 scale one. And if there's anything like this, it's going to be lovely. Right, that is another finished project. I haven't even thought about editing that. Perhaps I'll start doing that in the week, but it means I can start a new project, and I don't really know what to do. So I've got the Edward Mustang, which is almost built. I could finish that one off, but what I'm probably going to do is, and I've also got Edward 109 to do, and a conversion with that as a base kit. But I just want to just go back to 48th. I've done a lot of 72nd lately, so I just want to mix it up a bit with a bit of 48th just before the Hajj break. I've got a month before Hajj. If I don't get it finished, I'm not overly bothered, but I'd like to get it finished, the next project, before I fly back. So I've got an empty pallet for when I return, just going home for 2 weeks, first 2 weeks of June. So I will introduce you to that project very soon. But it's going to be an Edward 48 scale, and it's an Overtrees. So more of that later. If you're regular viewers, you'll know what it is anyway, because I've mentioned it. Right, so that's that. On with the industry news. No new kits to talk about, no new announcements that have caught my eye, but just a couple of things to mention. First one is ICM have released some CAD shots of their Dornier 217K1. That's the kind of late one with the BMW engines and the whole glass house at the front, because, you know, German bomber crews like to all sit together and hold hands or something. So, yeah, just one big glass house gondola. I'm going to assume that they've done what they did in the Black Hawk and some of their other models, and that's have a template for for the canopy masks. So you can make your own masks very easily by just sticking tape over that and then cutting around it. If I was going to get that kit, I'm not going to get that kit. I'm waiting for the Hamden. I'm definitely going to get their Hamden. If you're not going to go out and buy a commercial set, masking set, then you can just stick your tape over the template, cut it out, stick it on, job's a fish. So I'm sure that would be very popular. Right, the other one is DBMK, their Sea Fury. They've released the kind of box presentation, if you like. So the box art, but with all the schemes, loads of different schemes. Test shot has been built up by Bill Clark. Now, so I made a comment that it was a shame that they've decided to do just split wings. It's not that it caused a furore, because it didn't, but it caused a discussion. Some people say, oh, people can't build kits anymore, can they? There's one or two of those sorts of comments from, a few people that just can't help themselves. But, not exactly helping the conversation along. So my take on it, and I've mentioned this before, is personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't like model aeroplanes, naval aeroplanes with folded wings. I think it just spoils the lines of an aeroplane, and I just don't do it. I don't like variable geometry aeroplanes with swept wings, because I just think they look better with the wings forward. That's just me. That's my own personal thing. But going back to naval aeroplanes with folded wings, for me it just spoils the wings. And a lot of propeller aeroplanes, the wing fold will cover the cockpit, and for me, the cockpit is the focal point of a model aeroplane. It kind of, people's eyes are drawn to the cockpit first when they sort of zoom in and have a look at things. So that's two reasons. And I just wish manufacturers would cater for people like me, whether, I don't know if you'd have to do a massive survey to find out what the actual averages are, the preference. It's nigh on impossible to get as neat a result if you want to spread the wings with an engineering breakdown with separate wings than it is if you just do cut lines on the inside. For example, you could do them very narrow, quite deep, so you can just run whatever scalpel or very fine razor saw or something down that groove on the inside and separate the wings, and then add all your wing fold parts. You'll get as neater a job, I think, by doing that. But for the people who want it spread, it's going to take a lot of work to get it really neat, and it's never going to look as good as if it was a single piece. That is a fact. So I just wish model manufacturers would do if they're not going to do both different sets of wings, and I understand why they don't, it's all money at the end of the day, is just do spread wings and then have cut lines on the inside, so modelers who want folded wings can get a just as neat result by separating the wings, leaving those of us like me who want them spread to have a really easy time of things, and it's very neat. Now, maybe that's a little bit selfish on my part, because I wish model manufacturers would follow my preference, but for something like a 32nd scale Sea Fury, and the model does look glorious, I have to say, it just puts me off, because am I going to be prepared to put all that work in and get that result on a very expensive 32nd scale kit like that? So for me, I'm probably not going to get the DBMK Sea Fury, because I just look at the... I don't want a 32nd scale Sea Fury in my collection bad enough to go through all that noise of, you know, shims, gluing, trying to get a neat result, sanding it all down, tidying up the join, re-scribing, re-riveting, and then not having as a neat result. That is just me. Now, the real Sea Fury, because I was staff officer in Navy Command for the Royal Navy Historic Flight, and spent a lot of time crawling all over these things in the hangar. It was great. There is like a rubber seal that sits proud along the wing fold. So really, it's very, very neat, but there is a faint raised line, if you like, from the rubber sticking out. Now, clearly, the real thing, that's what it looks like, and then a model, it just wouldn't look right if you did that. But really, accuracy speaking, that's what you should do. And it's black because it's rubber. But anyway, a little bit of a digression. So that I just thought I'd put that as a conversation piece. Let me know your thoughts down below. Massive, don't get me wrong, I'm hugely pleased that DBMK, first of all, exist. It's great to have another UK kit manufacturer out there. They are living my dream. After all, I think it's fantastic they're doing a 32nd scale Sea Fury, and that looks like that's going to be the first kit to hit the shelves. I'm just disappointed that they've decided to go the wing fold route and break it down like that. But that's just me, like I say. Right, there we are. No more on that. But please let me know your comments. What's your preference for naval aeroplanes? How do you like it? Obviously, I did the Trumpeter 48 scale Fulmer, and that comes with separate wings, and that was a bit of a faff to get it back together. You know, unless you're Tamiya, do it spread, please. There we are. Right, I've come to the end of my notes. My little green book is back. Look, come to the end of the notes. Right. So thanks very much for watching this week. Stay tuned on the channel. No idea when I'm going to get that Norseman out. The video is going to take me a little while to edit all that down, but I'm looking forward to hitting the bench and doing the next project. I might not film that. I might give myself a bit of a break, and I might do that as like a debrief way thing. Anyway, right, I'm going to stop there now because I need to get the aircon turned back on because it's bloody baking out here now. And yeah, I need to turn the aircon off for the videoing, and then I boy, you can see my forehead's getting a bit shiny. Right, there we are. Stop waffling, Jamie. I'll see everybody very, very soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.